all good.
Awesome. Yep, we're all good to go now, and yeah.
Gallery view. Nice Dead Kennedys thing there, bud.
Yes, I've had that poster for 28 years now.
Dude, I haven't seen one of those in a long time, man.
Nice.
It was actually much bigger, but it started to come apart.
Yeah,
So because it had some album covers on the bottom. So I cut those off, and I'm trying to rehab it. And I'm going to actually mount it on some wood like this.
That's what's up, man. It looks really
Try to
cool.
preserve it.
Yeah, that's an old poster, too.
Yeah, it was it's about 3.5 feet by 4.5 feet at its greatest.
And
All right.
yeah, let's do this.
What's up, Ron?
Hello, Ron. I can do this. He's muted too. Tell him to swipe and unmute, maybe.
Oh, can you unmute, Ron?
Got the mute going, brother. Okay. I'll hop over.
Did that work?
Oh, there he is.
Bada bing, bada
Hey,
What's
What
going
up,
on,
guys?
dude? Hey,
you know, just Friday, no work, talking to you guys.
very nice, man. That's cool.
So, what I missed
Happy to have you, brother, man.
as well.
Ron here, he's a PRF member, and he's the owner of Felony Records and Felony Films, and he's got quite a treasure trove over there on YouTube, fellas. I don't know if you checked it out yet, but it's something, man. It's some good, especially shot live stuff, man. Awesome.
Well, some of it is.
Hey, man, what I've seen so far has been pretty damn good, dude. Pretty damn good.
Yeah, towards the last couple years, once I brought on some friends, it really got up to that level where I'm pretty much proud of it. But the early stuff was I just wanted to film. I just wanted to document. So a lot of that stuff's not great, but it's who else recorded back then, you know?
Hey, man, it's there. You know, it's catalog. It's done with. You know what I mean? I
Totally.
watched a lot of it, man. I was just blown away by it. I mean, that'd be a lot of fun, dude. I mean, just running around doing that. That's a lot of people. People dream about doing shit like that, man. You know what I mean? And you get it, dude. That's what's up.
Well, I mean that's kind of what the recording side of the Felony Film side of it was, because what the hell is that? The film side of it came about because I realized I had such good access to some of these shows, and I sucked at taking photos. So I was like, why wasn't I filming these shows? I was at some of these, late 90s, early 2000s shows where I was like, I should have filmed that. And back then I filmed 5-6 shows. And so I realized, fuck the photography bullshit, switch to video and start filming,
Right.
Radio on in the background, bro.
It ain't me.
Hold on 1 second. Might be me.
Yeah, bro.
¿Te hablo español?
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I think Trevor might have had something playing through the computer accidentally.
¿Qué persona te habla español?
Hey, man, I was checking you out yesterday, and I seen you had a car accident, man. You okay?
Oh yeah, that was 5-something years ago. I got T-boned by a cop running a red light.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, man.
Wait,
I read that.
You got T-boned by a cop running a red light. That's just
Yes.
That's Providence.
And guess what? The insurance company ruled it was my fault because a pedestrian said they heard sirens.
What?
Yep.
This is why I advocate like audio, video, 360 in your car all the time.
Well, so what it was, where we live, we're in an area where we have local police, and we also have a strip that's LA County. So we have sheriffs, LA County sheriffs. Where this was kind of on that border. So the local police for Gardena said he clearly wasn't lane checking. It has to be his fault. Don't worry about it. You're good. The sheriffs were the ones responsible because he was a sheriff that hit me. They kind of didn't really say either or. And then I I just assumed like I'm innocent because like I was clearly running. I was driving down a street going the speed limit, going through my green light, and the cop T-boned me going 40. So it has to be his fault. They're like, no, it was your fault because the pedestrians said they heard sirens, and you're lucky the cop isn't pressing charges because he has injuries.
Wow.
And the worst part about it was my buddy who plays guitar for 10 Foot Pole, I was in his car. They borrowed my truck so they could tow their trailer on tour. So he was in my truck. I was in his car.
Jesus.
Hey, we have 10 Dennis Jaggard in our group, PRF. That's your,
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He's a 10-foot, you sing your 10-foot pole. He's a good dude, man. Really,
For
really
sure.
funny guy. Really funny guy.
So,
Yeah, we actually.
Ron, I have
What?
to ask, how did you get the felony part? That I have plenty myself. I'm just asking.
So I don't have any felonies. Lots of misdemeanors and other stuff. Lots of drunk tanks and things like that. But in the early 90s, very early 90s, like 91, 2, 3, all of my friends were starting bands. And I was in a couple attempts to start a band or join a band. And one of the bands I was in with my buddy Justin Douglas and I think what's his name, Sherman was in it. There was a couple other dudes. Anyways, we were trying to come up with names, and so one of them was the Felons. And I think we had one practice, nothing came of it. We gave up. And so I was like starting to think that my buddies like the Deviates and Nonix 9, which came 1208, and this band Lunacy, this band No Big Deal, these other bands from the area started to actually do well and had talent and could perform. And so I was like, well, I think my talent's more in like maybe putting these guys' bands out. And so in the search for a title for the label, I thought Felony Records works because it's already something, like you have a felony in your record. It's already like something in the vernacular.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, fuck, that works perfect.
That's clever.
So back then it worked great because back then punk was different. It was hardcore and rough and, fuck the world. Later in life, felony became like, oh, you got a bunch of criminals and you're supporting that lifestyle. So it's worked good and bad for me.
Well, punk was, also a term for someone who was an evildoer anyway at one point. So.
Yeah. So it worked back then. It wasn't an issue. Later in life, in the last 5-10 years, 5 years, I got a lot of slack from it, from the current younger scene that was like, oh, fuck you, you're supporting criminals and blah, blah, blah. That's, you can't win.
No, you really can't these days. It's one thing or the other. It seems like people are getting a little more sensitive as we go too. And, and that's cool. I mean, you want to be, observant of things and making sure you're just saying and doing the right things, I guess. But, it's kind of lost, punk rock's kind of lost kind of its edge a little bit in that respect that we're trying to tell each
I would
other
say,
it's one thing to be aware of people's individuals, and their stuff, whatever that may be. It's a whole other thing to turn everything into take a joke and fucking twist it up and throw it back in your face. Like they just don't understand the concept of sarcasm and humor.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I would say it's almost like it's a confluence of many things at once, where culturally, I think everyone's starting to see life differently, where like, we shouldn't say those words that, as a kid, we just threw around, not knowing that that's mean and derogatory. That part of it, I'm all on board for. Like I as well was one of those people, but now and later in life, I'm like, that's bad. Like that hurts those people's feelings. And I'm not saying it to hurt them. I am, but that part I'm totally fine with. The instant attack of anyone that's like, oh, you didn't think about it this way in this context, you're fucking wrong. Like you're intentionally trying to shit on some minority group. And it's like, yes, in some situations I can clearly see that, but other times where it's very loose, you get attacked and berated for nothing.
Right. Well, it's the maliciousness behind it. If there's no malice behind it, and someone says, "Hey, man, back up. I don't really like that. This is how it makes me feel." Okay, I can respect that. I'll back that up. I don't have to use that word. But
yeah,
don't come at me like I was intentionally trying to fuck with you.
Yeah. But no, the part that bothers me is that I, as a person, have changed and grown and said, you know what? I used those wrongly in the wrong context, and I didn't realize that I was hurting people without intentionally trying to hurt them. The part I don't like now is that everyone's like, if you don't follow this chain of current command, then instantly you're wrong, and we're gonna attack you, because social media is like, all right, I have 1,000 Facebook friends, and we're now going to shit on you because you didn't follow our current rules.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, that's not right, man. People, they have things they're going to say, they have things they're going to do, and I myself, I try to kind of be aware, these days, like you're saying, you grow as a person, you make mistakes, you say things that aren't exactly, probably really good, you know what I mean? But hey, you get older, things change, you get yourself aware of things, and you're not trying to hurt anybody. No, I don't think anybody ever was, man. And
well,
you're
some of them
definitely
are
right here. People.
Well, some of them, I think, they're deflecting because they have issues they haven't resolved yet, and so they attack other people, and they continue to be like, well, fuck you, punk rock, and my day, and
Right.
you're this, you're that. Those people just have unresolved issues, and they're continuing that abuse they haven't ever confronted or dealt with.
Sure.
Those are the ones I think that they give the rest of us a bad name, and learn, like, go, hey, I learned, I grew, I was wrong, and I understand that, and I don't do that anymore.
Right.
We get piled in with the guys that are still like, fuck you, life sucks, I was shit on, no one ever gave me anything. And it's like, no, those people just haven't gotten to where we're at yet.
Yeah.
No.
Or they haven't worked for it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I understand, but also, like, that was part of the reason why the label went dormant, was because I don't want to deal with that anymore. I'm trying to sell to the current punk generation that looks at my era of punk rock has been.
Right.
The skate punk scene, which was largely what Felony was. They're all like, oh, Pennywise, Broham, Melting Souls, old school, like 90s Epitaph shit. Like, that's so lame, bro.
I don't know, man. That's great music.
I know, and we had those fans. I'm talking to people. We had those fans, but the current generation of kids, the teens and 20s, this is my daughter Willow.
Oh, man.
I will.
We love our kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the current generation that was what I was in the 90s, they are the current scene molders, and they're like, no, we don't like your NoFX Epitaph skate era shit. Like, you're a joke. Get out of here, old man. And it's like, they're the people I'm trying to sell a record to for $10 and it cost me $8. Like,
Right.
I'm panhandling to these kids that don't give a fuck about me to make $2 to then split that $2 with the band. Like, what the fuck?
Right.
Yeah, that is running a punk label, isn't it? Oh man, dude. Yeah, that is I've heard stories from a couple other guys I knew, man. And one guy here in Akron, and he told me a very similar story, Ron, about like trying to sell a record for $8 when he paid $6 for it, and like trying to get keep $1.50, give 50 cents to this band, or I'm like, man, come on, he reminded me a lot of that when you were saying that, man, because that's gotta be tough, man. That is gotta be really hard to do.
Well, in like the 20 years the label kind of existed, well, it's a little more than 20 years, but in 20 years it was actually like a business license, real label. I think one album made money. Every other album I put money into, I never ever made what I put into it back.
I mean,
in like 70 something releases.
Do it by, you're obviously doing it for the love, man. You love music. I mean,
it was.
Yeah, to do it 70 times, right? Like,
for the first 16 or so years before I brought a partner on, it was all just like, I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna put it out because like no one else is gonna sign these guys. They're great. They don't tour, but this album's amazing. I just want to put it out. Like, I don't care. Let's just, it needs to be more than like a self-release that's not gonna go anywhere,
Right. So what did you see in Chaser, Ron? You seen what we see now, I think.
So Chaser came in so Felony's got like 5 eras. Chaser came around in like the second era of Felony. I left Southern California, went and got a corporate job up in Oregon to like become a provider and like appease the girlfriend I had at the time. and I was making really good money up there. And so I was like, well, this job sucks and I hate this, but I'm going to dump all this money back in the label. I'm going to turn it on full stream, because it's like, what else am I going to do with this? Living rent free in Oregon. Like, why not? And so I was working with False Alliance, who's the split side of the Chaser 7-inch we did. And my buddy Ian Peterson, who passed away, he said, dude, this shit's great. You got to hear it. And so we were working on it. And then Mike from Chaser, who I'd met a couple of the dudes a couple of times in some Orange County shows, they hit me up and said, hey, dude, we're actually going to plan a tour with False Alliance. It'd be really great if we could do this 7-inch before that tour so we could sell it on the road. And so I was like, well, great. Like, what do you guys have? And at that point, they had only had In Control, the first self-release CDs, which Discogs misappropriates the Felony, which we didn't put it out. And so I was like, great. So they had like 5 or 6 songs on some unreleased EP demo tape shit. So they gave it to me. We remastered those. We added the False Alliance songs. We sent it off to one of the dudes who started Pirates Press, was working at a different place in San Francisco where I was living at the time. And we pressed it to them, you know, not knowing, I had never done vinyl before. So not knowing how long it takes, we didn't get it back in time. So the tour's like, the tour is like a week away. Back then there was no digital download codes or any of that kind of shit. So we had pressed CDs of each side of the 7-inch and added bonus songs. We had those, but no 7-inch. And then about a week before the tour, the drummer from False Alliance quit and said, I'm not playing. I'm not going on tour. The dates are booked. We have like 9 or 10 dates. My buddy worked for Marriott. I had us hotels locked down across the whole tour for free, pretty much, or like employee rates. Jeez. So that week before the tour, I hit up my other buddies, Dive Bar Junkies, who I was going to work with to put out their album later. Said, hey, a week's notice, can you guys go on tour for 10 days? And they were like, fuck yeah, like get in the car, let's go.
Nice.
So I'd say the date. But then I would say maybe a month or so after that tour is when we finally got the vinyl back to do that. So we made 500, hand numbered them, me and my niece Taylor, we hand numbered them, and tried to sell them for like 16 years and no one cared.
Fuck. I bet you they're pushing now, bud.
Well, no, that's the funny thing is, so on the Rare Punk music group on Facebook, I posted that a couple dudes I had sold some vinyl to went and tried to flip them on Discogs, and it kind of bummed me out. So I said, hey, to prevent this, anyone on here that wants one, I'll sell them to you for $8. They cost me about 7 something to press. I will sell them to you for $8 plus shipping. So if you want them, buy them for me. Fuck Discogs markup price. And I got rid of like 40.
Nice.
You know, and people were just like, well, wait, like why aren't you selling? Like they went from like $30 to $50. Like, why aren't you selling for that? It's like, because I don't want to buy that. They're not worth $50. I don't want to buy them for $50. I'm not looking to make money on this. They cost me sucking $7. I'm going to sell them for $8. Like, if you want one, jump in, you know?
Yeah.
Right on, man. Yeah, I'll tell you what, we had Mike, I want to say.
Yeah, so Mike was one of your like first episodes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We had Mike, and he's a great guy, man. Just straight up. He is a great dude. I've gotten to know Jesse a little bit, talking to him online. He's also a great guy. I was blown away by their new record. That was some good shit.
Jesse can slap a fucking bass. Holy shit.
Well,
fuck yeah, man.
I didn't get into, I was a part of everything Chaser did in some degree up to the Big Picture. Then they kind of broke up. Well, they did a last show. We kind of filmed that. Then they got back together 3 or 4 years later, and we're going to join back together. But all this time, Mike was going to the fire department academy, so he couldn't really like play shows or tour or anything. So we kind of every once in a while hit him up, say, hey, show, tour, this and that. He's like, oh, I can't, no time off, I can't do it. And then they came back out with the one they did on Effervescence Records, which just announced they're breaking up. And that was when I was going through my depression phase, where I was like, I'm done with the label. Like I can't do this anymore. And so I didn't really get into it till just recently. I'd heard the song where they mentioned me, the See You at the Show one.
Yeah.
But I didn't really listen to the full album until about like 6 months, a year ago.
They've been solid. I mean, that's a solid album. The 7-inch they did this summer was really, really good. Yeah. That Look Alive song. As a matter of fact, Mike let us use that song for our intro and our outro. I had kind of stole Painted Windows and Skyscraper and was gonna run those, and YouTube said no, I don't think so. And Trevor, being the genius that he is, got a hold of Mike Ladon, and Mike Ladon said you can add whatever song you want. And
as long as you have proof and you can show YouTube that you're allowed to use this, you're good to go. But
you know what? They still flagged us for our first episode since I came on, and I used that song.
Well, what you do is you need to have something in writing from them that says you're allowed to use it.
Yeah.
And what you do is on the back end, if this becomes profitable, then you go, hey guys, we'll pay you, throw you some ducats.
Absolutely.
Him and Jesse, they've been really, really good to us. Yeah. The group, now the show that we have, I mean, they've been more than, they've been like more or less friends to us than just some guys in a band we know. I mean, they've stepped up for projects each one of us have had. I mean, a guy that we know was doing a project for another brother we have, and Mike stepped right in, helped us out again, man. He's a solid dude. Yep.
Mike's always been good. Mike's always been good about seeing the value in befriending the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
I got them on the Warped Tour in 2008. I had signed a band called Allura that had already done the Warped Tour, or it was called the Family Stage. So what it was is Fletcher and Kevin Lyman had a clothing company. The Family Stage was in the parking lot before the gates opened, and two bands would play to the audience. And so I had signed Allura. We were recording a new album with Darian Rundle. We finished it in time for that tour. They wanted a second band, so I got Chaser to go on it because we had just done Numb America probably, and got them on. So we went out on the whole tour, and so I at one point told them, like, look, dude, we have a booth space which costs people thousands of dollars to get one of these. We have one free, provided the fact that we're on the tour. These kids coming up to our booth, walking down from Mackenzie's to Pennywise to wherever, they don't know you guys played on the parking lot. They think you were on a stage, and we just tell them, hey, you guys missed us. We played the Interpunk stage at fucking 10 a.m. You don't know. And then you tell them you're the singer, you're the guitar player, you're the bass player, and they lose their fucking mind. They're like, wow, I'm talking to a band. They don't know that we're nobodies from Southern California. They're just like, I'm at Warped Tour and I'm meeting band members in their fucking tent, and they're gonna sign my CD and take a photo with me and post it on MySpace and tag me. Like, we were turning in SoundScan numbers to Kevin Lyman that they were like, how did you guys sell 200 CDs today? How did you sell 150 CDs yesterday? Like, Against Me just dropped their new album and they aren't moving those kind of numbers. It's like, because none of those bands are at the booth. These kids don't know that we're nobodies. They're just like, I'm here to see musicians. These guys are here at the booth signing my shit. It's not just some dude they hired to slang merch.
Yeah, exactly.
It worked. I think we moved to like 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 CDs that summer in like 45 days.
Nice.
Wow.
So
Crazy.
How did you get to know Authority Zero, Ron?
Well, so I had known about them. I'd seen them a couple times. They were buddies with Pennywise. I grew up with, I'm in the Pennywise circle. I grew up next door to Jim Lindbergh. So like, I've been around that scene for a long time. So I'd seen them a couple times, but I'd never befriended them. And then I want to say my buddy Turtle Brian started a company called Electric Turtle Productions, and he started promoting Authority Zero. And so he was working with them to promote Warped Tour and some other things. And so that's how I met back when it was Bill and Jim and Jason and
Brandon.
Jeremy wasn't in the band at that point. I don't know. I guess it was right before DJ had come in and started playing bass.
Oh.
So I met them right in that era.
Like,
so
right before 1234.
Yeah, 2005, 6, somewhere in there.
Right before 1234, yeah.
So then I think one of my bands set off was on 5 or 6 dates on the tour. So I got to go out with them and they were on it. So we bonded there. And then I did the next year, we went out. They were on it again for like a couple of California, Southern California, Arizona dates. So we bonded there. And then my buddies Poor Habit booked a tour with them, and I went on that tour. And after that, we've been friends since.
They're
So-
I was I was kind of half-assed telling you about it the other night when we were talking. I'm in Ohio, okay? I've never heard their music ever a day in my life. Not a song, not one more minute, nothing. And I was at a Kmart, like like a discount store, up here, a chain store type thing. And I was back in the music section. I seen a dude, he had a Rancid t-shirt on. So I was like, okay, we're cool,
We're buddies. We're the same.
Yeah,
we're the same.
We're the same tribe. We're all right. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I walk up to him and I'm like, well, what are you looking at? Because Kmart wasn't, very good for getting punk records. It just wasn't.
No.
And he showed me Authority Zero. Well, Authority Zero at that time was on Lava. They were a major label, band at that point. So he's like, oh, dude, this is awesome. And I'm like, well, I need something new, And I took it home, dude. And we put that on. And I lived in kind of like a punk house with 12, 13 other crazy fuckers and drinking and having a good time and all that shit. And we put that CD on, man. And that title track played on Passage on time. And when that thing was done, man, you could have heard a pin drop in that house. When I'm talking about 10 crazy motherfuckers drinking and raising hell at all times. When that song was over, there wasn't a breath. I mean, people were like, damn. And that whole summer, that record played, man, through every fight, through every bullshit thing that went on. That record was playing. And I'll tell you, I've been a big fan of them ever since, man. They're a good damn band.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the Lava part of it, because I didn't have Passage in Time when it was something else. I forget what it was before Passage in Time, but like the demo version of Patches in Time.
Patches in Time.
I didn't have that. I wasn't really in on the Arizona scene at that point. And when I first found out about them through like playing with Pennywise or whoever, the Lava thing was what kind of turned me off. I was like, oh, major label and like ska and whatnot. And so I didn't really give them a good chance until way later. Like I'd seen them, I think at a show in Soma in like 92 or something, 93. Maybe not. Anyways, around early 90s. And saw them live and I was like, well, dude, like these guys know how to play. Like they have a performance. It's not them playing the songs. They're performing the songs.
They're bad.
So then I went out and found it and bought it, like getting over my stupid self of like, oh, they're on a major label, like they suck. And I was just blown away.
Yeah. Yeah, they're awesome.
They,
The Lava thing first turned me off.
Yeah, I mean, I think it did a lot of people, honestly. A friend of mine was like, well, this is major label. I said, dude, the Clash was on a major label. Shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, that was always my answer to anybody saying shit about a major label. I was always like, dude, it's over the Clash. You know what I mean? Come on.
Well, this was early 90s when like the only one who really done it was like Green Day. Dookie went to Geffen or whoever it was. And like everyone's like, boo.
The Offspring went to Columbia. I remember they went to Columbia.
No, this was later than that. So, but I think it's right between there. Dookie and Smash, or after Smash. It was like, oh, punk's not supposed to be major label. And now I look at it going like, I'm a fucking idiot. Like they're musicians. They're trying to live off their music. Like these people are going to give them real money and get their shit in stores. Like good for them. But as a dumb, like 15, 14, 16-year-old, I'm like, oh, sellouts, fuck you.
Yeah.
I think you're being attacked, John.
I know I'm being attacked.
I tried to put up a banner behind here, the old Felony Records, the sidekicks from our Easy Up. And it was just right here, and you can still see the clutter. So I was like, fuck it. My garage is a mess. Fuck it. I'll deal with it.
Just took it back down.
Fuck it,
right
dude.
on.
It's all good.
Yeah,
all this is doing is hiding my garbage.
That here. Like I did the show on the porch last week. I said, fuck it, went outside, then 2 weeks ago it was in here again, and then the week before it was on the porch again.
One of them, it's like one of them you guys
don't
did.
Forget your
like,
car. Don't forget your car, Matt.
Oh, my car, yes. Last week.
Now that was a good
chef,
one.
In the group we got a chef, real good friend, man, good guy, man. Brady Stevens, and Jesus Lord. Anyway, I had to work. I ended up having to work, so I delivered food, So I did the show.
Well, you might want to change your light fixture. You might want to get a more punk light fixture.
Hey, I might have one.
No, one of them, it was like Mike is like black. You can't see him at all. It's like he's in the dark. So I took some notes from some of your other guys' shit. I watched them all.
Really?
The
Thank
LaDawn
you.
interview. The LaDawn interview, you guys were talking about the Dead Krasuski's covering Sinister Rouge, the Bad Religion cover.
Yeah.
So that was we asked them to do a song for one of our punk rock bowling comps. So we sponsored punk rock bowling for three years. I think 3 years.
Really?
And so we had done a comp our first year where I kind of was like, let's do all our active shit and some of the back catalog, since we had 49 minutes or whatever CD holds. Let's just introduce anyone and everything. So the second year, I was like, well, let's try to get all the bands that are active on the label to cover any band that's playing that year's punk rock bowling. And so we miraculously were able to pull it off. And the Krasuski song was the one where they did Bad Religion's Sinister Rouge, and they actually got a church choir in there to do the whoa.
That's
So
awesome.
I thought it sounded good, man.
I'll have to send you guys. I can send you Bandcamp download codes.
Yeah, fuck
Dude,
yeah.
the whole comp concept was one of those things where I have lots of these stoned ideas where I'm like, this will be great. We should do this, and it dies in the field. Where this thing, we had the concept, we followed through on it. All the bands met our time constraints. We were able to press it, and we handed them out for free, the entire punk rock bowling. And
Wow.
Rad, man.
That's awesome.
most everyone that got them that likes that style of music loves it. A lot of people were like, fuck Felony Records, skate punk pussies. But everyone that likes that style of music loved that CD.
I mean,
It was killer.
I was in the 90s. I found punk rock in the 90s. So skate punk, I mean, I know that's kind of like what we're calling it.
Yeah, I think
now.
you're my age.
That's what I like, man. You know what I mean? That's what I like. And I like
I was
the old
born-
school stuff too, like the stuff before it, but not much after it.
Well,
I don't know, man. Just not much after
I was
it.
born in 77, so I'm 43 now.
I'm
So I'm
42.
I'm at that age where when I was introduced to punk rock, it was probably like 89. Yeah, I think 89. I heard Garage Days Revisited, and they covered some Misfit songs.
Nice. Yep.
And my buddies were all into like, Iron Maiden and Metallica and stuff. And I liked Kill 'Em All. I liked Metallica, but it just wasn't. I wasn't into Sepultura and like the metal shit. And so when they covered Misfits, I was like, oh, I need to check this out. Went and found like fucking Walk Among Us and like all that stuff, and was hooked. And then my sister in like 89, 90 had brought home a tape from one of the dudes in her high school that was the drummer for Pennywise, Byron. And it was like a 5-song demo. And I was just like, wait, what? Like these guys are punk from like local? Like what? And then that all of a sudden it blew up, because then I found out about Black Flag and Descendants and Circle Jerks. And I was like, wait a minute, all this is happening within our little like 1 square mile hometown.
Yeah.
And like there's some of the legendary top bands of punk rock. Like, oh dude,
That's
Okay.
like, I'm sold. I'm done. No more Mamas and Papas, no more Neil Diamond, none of my parents
No.
shit anymore. Dude, no more Boys to Men, no more fucking
None more of
Easy
that
Does
shit,
It.
man.
Punk rock. I'm
Right on.
sold.
Right on.
Sold.
Johnny, you came up more like in the 80s, didn't you, bud?
Yeah, mid-late 80s, yeah.
What
That's
were like
in Florida. I mean, Florida's the fucking we're the dead end of the fucking country. Everyone comes in here like passes us by most time. Like I've had to go out of state to see anything decent. Some people come through, but a lot of times they have to have like, it has to be like working festivals. Like when the Warped Tour first came around, that's the first time I got to see Guttermouth. I've been listening to him for a couple of years and finally got to see him.
Yeah.
Well, I was lucky. I was lucky in the sense that 93, 4, I was 14, 15 at that point. There was a local studio. So, like when you go to a plaza where it's just like a bunch of like slide up garage door places, and one's a smog place, one's a fucking oil change place, whatever.
Yeah.
One of those was a recording studio. Well, I don't know how well that was working. So at some point they started turning it into a venue.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was called Velocity Studios. Bob Becker from Fearless Records is one of the owners. And every Friday night, all ages, there was punk shows there. And so at the beginning, it was local bands, AWOL, Out of Order, Elliot's First Nerf, a bunch of like South Bay punk bands, Prop 13, things like that. Then about 2 or 3 months into it, all of a sudden they started getting fat bands. So it was like Lagwagon right after Duh. It was Strung Out before or right after Another Day in Paradise. Jughead's Revenge, like
Jughead, Eric.
Well, mid
Guttermouth.
90s, the fat bands just exploded.
Yeah, so this was like Guttermouth before Friendly People. It was like that era. Sublime played there. Like it was one of those things where I mean, I don't know how lucky I was to have that, where every Friday night for like $5 as a 14, 15-year-old, I could go there and see all these bands, which now are like the punk scene or the skate punk scene.
Yeah.
Legendary. We had a place downtown Akron. It was called the Attic, and it was weird here growing up. Like it was like mostly pop punk, really. We had a band called the Nimrods. That was like the first punk band I ever like was really into, because you know they were around here. You know, the first punk rock I'd ever heard was like a dub cassette tape. You know, my buddy had stole from his brother and gave it to me. It had Operation Ivy, Energy on one side, and it had Body Count, Cop Killer on the other side. And I mean, it was weird, man, but it worked for me. I was hooked, you know. And then we started having these shows around here, and the Nimrods, they were a band that were like, I guess the closest thing you could compare them to is maybe like Screeching Weasel.
I know Nimrods.
And it worked. I mean, it worked. You know, it kept it going, and you know, here I am today. I mean, I'm gonna be almost 40 years old and still listening to the same shit. So must have done something right.
Back in Florida, and you know, we're talking mid-late 80s, you know, up to early 90s. I mean, the Pink Lincolns was our claim to fame. I mean, it was, you know, that was the biggest punk name came out of Florida at one time. But then most people didn't know about all the people that offshoot from every band you could possibly think of. It converged in like Orlando, Jacksonville, Tampa, Ybor City. That's where you went. 1, you were going to fight Nazis, and 2, you were going to see a good show.
Well, in Florida, you guys had a good turn when like the whole Against Me era started to happen. No Idea Records and whatnot in like the late 90s.
Yeah.
Well, so that was part of the reason why like the films part of the label started to happen, was because I kept losing signings. I tried to sign the Deviants My Life, lost that. Tried to sign 1208 or Nonix 9 at the time, which became 1208, which got signed to Epitaph. Like all my friends' bands were starting to kill it, and like I just was like, hey, you know, let's do this. Like let's put something out, and it never happened, and rightfully so. They were smart to not do it, because I wouldn't be able to help them out in that era when like they sold 30,000, 40,000 units. Like I wouldn't have been able to fucking produce that.
Yeah.
But I started to see that like these things that I'm able to be here and go to, like this, to be at the, you know, the Descendants, the 7 Days of the Whiskey, that live album, to be at the Pennywise live at the Key Club, to actually get my buddy who was merched for Pennywise to hit them up or hit me up and be like, hey, we have an off day from Warped Tour. Can we play on your buddy's deck on July 4th? Where like Hermosa, July 4th is a big thing. They have this Iron Man thing where it's you run a mile, paddle a mile, and chug a 6-pack and not puke. Well, the 4 or 5 people that take it seriously don't puke. Everyone else, they try to eat like strawberries and grapes and Skittles so that when they puke, it's rainbow colors. It's the hardest part of it. And so it's a thing. And so when he hit me up and said, hey, July 4th is actually an off day, we're back in California, can Descendants and Pennywise play on Nick's deck? I was like, dude, for 100%. Like Nick already said yes. And then I hung up with Ben. I called Nick. I was like, hey, Pennywise and Descendants want to play on your deck. I already told him yes. Is that cool? He's like, yeah, totally, 100%. We're on.
Right on, man.
So
I
had
had
access to
that though.
Well,
yeah.
exactly.
That
What
was
do
what
you
the
say?
film side was about, was because I had access to these things that I took for granted and realized like other people, like this is their one thing in life. Like I saw that one show once in Florida where I was like, this happens like weekly to monthly for me. And like, why aren't we documenting this? Like we should be like recording this.
Always.
Yeah, it was hard, but with my band, I mean, it was always a friend with a handy cam. and they would do okay, helping us out, helping bands out. I mean, most of the time we were booking in a warehouse that just opened last week. And hey, what do we have? Nothing. We have nobody to record anything. We have all this, this weird subculture history with no documentation of hardly any of it.
That's up here for sure, man. People just weren't present to think like, everybody was too busy either getting fucked up or having a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And nobody was present enough to think, well, somebody should catalog this shit. You know what I mean? And it might be important someday.
We actually have a group called the Orlando
Black Keys, I guess, but those kids were the Black Keys back then.
We have the Orlando Punk Archive now. It's a group that I'm in, and people start dumping all their old flyers, all their old recordings. I mean, I've still got tapes of shit from my band, cassette tapes. I just got a cassette tape recorder or player where I can actually fucking listen to it again.
Cassettes are becoming a thing again, dude. I'd seen Authority Zero again. I was on their website and I'd seen they're releasing their new album on cassette tape. I mean, that's crazy, so there must be something.
The albums came back. I mean, when I saw albums in fucking Walmart, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Well, I think the vinyl is deserving because CDs were the medium because it was better sounding and you could do, there was no A and B side. It worked. Vinyls were a gimmick back then. So when I started pushing vinyl with Felony, it was like I wanted to do it, but there was not really an audience for it. No. Whereas now there's an audience for it because it's a better way to receive the medium. There's giant artwork, there's lyrics, there's thank yous. I mean, how many bands did you guys find by reading thank yous in some other band CD?
Oh yeah.
So that's what's great about vinyl. Like that part of it, you actually holding the medium, you're sedentary, you're listening start to finish, you're reading the lyrics, you're reading the thank yous.
Yeah.
It's the better way to hear it aside from the fucking flipping from A to B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But tapes is a given.
We've always kept the vinyl. Like it seemed like even when I was younger, punk rock always had the vinyls, like the 7 inches, the split, shit like that. I almost put it on us for keeping it going. I mean, who else was buying it? Hip hop, maybe. I mean, that's it.
DJ culture, yeah.
Pop and punk rock. I mean, fucking nobody had vinyl.
Well, at one point when the label was starting to do more vinyl, but it wasn't really like a thing yet. There was still an audience, but it wasn't what it is now. I compared it to one of my friends at one point, saying the people that made all the money in the gold rush were the guys that own the stores selling supplies, not the people who mined for gold. So like instead of trying to like us sign the right band and sell the right vinyl and become legendary and get on radio and MTV video plays bullshit, why don't we just make a pressing plant, start pressing vinyl? Because everywhere you want to go press vinyl right now, it's months and months out. Right. So instead of trying to find the band, let Fat find the band. Let Epitaph, let fucking people of Punk Rock Records, let all these other up and coming Bipolar Records, these up and coming labels, let them find the acts that are going to sell a bunch of vinyl. Let's just press it. Right. But no one's doing it. You're still going to GZ Media in Czechoslovakia. You're still going to a couple little small places in the States. You're going to Cascade in Canada. There really aren't many options where you're dealing directly with the manufacturer. Most of them are middleman. I got a good rate. Come through me.
Well, a friend of mine he bought a record press, but he's only got the one press. And the problem is when a band hits you up, they're like, "Hey, can I get 200 copies?" It's like, "Holy, do you know how long that's gonna fucking take me?"
Yeah, exactly. There was a company in Germany, I guess they modified it, or they revisited record pressing, and their presses are largely digitized. So it takes one dude to operate it, and they can do up to, at perfect running speed, they can do 3 records a minute.
That's pretty good.
And so I was like, so if we bought like 2 or 3 or 4 of those presses and run 3 8-hour shifts, that's 24 hours a day, you could be just banging out vinyl left and right. Like you pretty much, in my opinion, for my math, in about 2 years, you would pay off all 4 of those presses.
Wow.
But that's only if vinyl stays current. If vinyl dies, then you're stuck with all these presses that no one wants to use.
But just like all the dinosaurs, the oil comes back eventually.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like
vinyl
the
always
fact that
comes back.
it being the preferred media where you actually get to see artwork. It's not a square on iTunes. It's not a fucking profile picture on Facebook.
Yeah.
That part of it, I think, will help sustain it. And the collectability of it.
I like it better.
Yeah.
I know that.
And that's the thing, like we're talking about the artwork. That's, you know, when you get a CD, like the digital media, it's great. Like I can download it and listen to it, but I get none of the personality of what's
no tray card.
Told. Yeah.
No CD art, none of that stuff. Yeah.
See, that's kind of shit I miss, man. You know, you would get an album, you look at all that shit, and you know, it shows you who they were. You got a good idea of like what the guys look like, their names, whatever, you know. And I mean, that don't mean a lot probably now to these kids, or maybe I don't know. But I mean, back then, when you know, it was the shit. I thought. I mean, I don't know. I still look at the shit when I get them. You know, anything I get, I go to their website and look it up. So I mean, must have been ingrained in me somewhere, you know. And
well, I feel like
right.
Our age, our generation, there's a nostalgia for it. There's a longing for it. So it's easy for us to say we like it because we get that. Today's kids, like my kids, they don't fucking know artwork. My kids have never touched a CD. I don't let them touch my vinyl. So like, they don't know that, you know?
Yeah.
They know their Facebook page or Instagram feed or their Twitter account. There's no idea of lyric sheets and whatnot.
No.
Right.
But also, that's not what they want because they don't know it. Like that was part of my problem with Felony is like I'm trying to sell what was fun and cool to me. Yeah, to kids that they don't know that they don't care. That's not what they want. I'm like, oh, this was cool back then, and they're like, okay, old man, fuck off.
Yeah,
that's the truth, though, man. You know, it things change, and I mean, like we are the old dudes now, and it's so fucked up when you think about it because you know I don't ever think of myself that way. You know, I think, oh, you know,
me neither.
I mean, Trevor, do you? I mean, come on, man. You know, you go to the store, you're buying some shit, you're like, you know, you still think you're pretty fucking cool, you know, and.
Dude, I still get ID'd at the fucking liquor store.
Fuck you, Trevor.
I'm 42 fucking years old. I still get ID'd.
when I shave every like 3 years, I get ID'd. But outside of that, no.
That's why I don't keep a goatee because that shit's fucking so gray now. I'm just like, you know what? No, I shave it off. I look a little younger.
I don't get kind of see them a little bit. They're in there.
Yeah, that's the thing. I got some grays in there, and like, yeah, whatever.
But also, I'm not like a man. I'm not a manscaped kind of guy. Like, I don't give a fuck.
No.
My wife still likes me just the same. So
yeah,
I had a beard going, and it looked sweet, man. And then I was in there, and I was shaving. I was trying to talk and shave at the same time. Next thing I knew, I just took a razor right through it, and I was like, "Son of a bitch!" Yeah. And it looked so damn dumb. I couldn't even like cover it up, you know. I thought about doing like some transplant shit or something. You know? I worked hard on that motherfucker. And
yeah, I made sure to shave especially for this event. I also shaved my face.
You know? Terrible.
I mean,
terrible thing.
I'll tell you this much. I haven't used an actual like Mach 3 like razor on my face in 13 years.
Wow. No, you probably need the shears for that big bastard, man. God damn.
Oh, I do, but even when I do that, when I go back down to zero, I still don't actually like shave it.
No shit.
I don't even own one. If I did it, I'd have to use one of my wife's like leg razors.
Sure. That's how you get cut. So,
well, I mean,
man, I'll tell you what, you know, you've done a lot of stuff, man. A lot of shit. Because I seen your little caption on your site. You're like that dude who did stuff, and I thought that was funny, man. I'm like, man, he's got some pretty specific things he's done. You know, why not list them up? But now I get it, man. I get it. You know, you've done a lot of shit.
I'm in a weird area. I've been around. I've done a lot of cool shit. I'm in an area where, like, one of my best friends in high school sophomore year, he saw my punk shit on my folder. I saw his punk shit. We started chatting. Turns out he's Greg Ginn from Black Flag's nephew. And so, like, I got to go to the Black Flag house. I got to go to where like the circus tent was. I got to go where like Henry was living in the backyard in a shed. I got to convert that shed so my buddy Alex could live in there. And like, my next door neighbor was Jim from Pennywise. Like, I got to hang out with fucking Descendants back in the day. Like, I got to do a lot of fun, cool shit, but I felt like my label, my film stuff, and like all of my graphic art stuff, those that are in the scene higher than me, they've never accepted me or my like efforts, like as like I belong there, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that there's still an underground to the underground.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
That's
Well,
the
when
truth.
I brought the partner on, he pretty much was kind of pushing towards like business, like let's make this a business, like let's make money, let's get a return on our investment, like let's make profit. And so when he first joined on, we started talking about it at Punk Rock Bowling. So our goal was the next year, let's sponsor and get bands on Punk Rock Bowling. And we did, and everyone's like, dude, like the label's making it. You guys are on Punk Rock Bowling. Well, no one knows, no one actually acknowledges the fact that we paid for that.
Yeah.
We weren't actually on Punk Rock Bowling because like our label mattered. We were on Punk Rock Bowling because we paid to be there.
Yeah.
Right.
You're sponsoring the game. I mean,
Right.
yeah, you know,
So,
Ron, I've seen your films, man. I think they're great. I mean, you know, I don't really see where they
well,
would
so
be.
back to the. Sorry to interrupt. Back to the film
you're
shit.
fine. Please.
We I make YouTube will not allow me to monetize any of that stuff because I don't own the rights to those musics and I had no contracts with the bands.
Right.
And so a bunch of people are like, why didn't you like sign contracts? Like, why didn't you get them to say like, this isn't the label stuff. Like this is a live recording. Like you monetize it and then you and the band split it, whatever percentage you agree on. But most of the shows where it got to a point where it was my friend Tolly and I and like GoPros and like my buddy Mike Fear and a couple other dudes we would convince to come film. At that era, we were like boondoggling the bands. We were just showing up, buying tickets, showing up, and like, we're gonna film you guys tonight. And they were kind of like, okay. So if I had shown up, boondoggled them, and then also be like, hey, sign this contract saying that like I own the rights to this and I'm gonna pay you money back in the future, they would have been like, fuck you, bro. So we just did it because we wanted to document, and I never thought about that it's gonna get 200,000 views on YouTube and we're gonna like monetize it.
Right.
And so now in hindsight, everything I own, my 10 terabyte hard drive full of footage I've never posted, anything that's not felony, I will never make a cent of. Anything that is felony, I won't make a cent of because it gets like 300 views.
Also, good, man. I watched that Deviant stuff. I thought that was real good.
Well, the Deviant stuff's cool because they did a reunion. They got back together. And so my dad, I was in Vegas. My dad died like the night before that show. And so it's fine. He was old. Yeah, he had dementia. It was coming. So it wasn't like oh my God, my dad died.
Right.
So I had already told my sister and brother-in-law and my other sister, like, I have the Deviants are getting back together for our buddy Morgan that passed. I need to be there. Like this might be the one thing they do again. Like I have to be there. So my dad wasn't dead. We didn't know he was actually gonna die that night. He did die. So they were like, we're eating breakfast, and I'm like, yo, like 4.5 hours to LA right now. Like no breakfast for me. I gotta go. So I made it there. My friend Tolly, who had become like my equal or better than with Felony Films, was already there with her 2 GoPros, ready to film. I show up like 4 or 5 songs in. This other guy who's a local, Kevin Samara, was there filming, and he's very restrictive with his footage. He has filmed a lot of stuff, and you can't get the footage from him. So just recently, he took some of my 98 Mute footage from the Palladium show where 98 Mute got back together to play with Pennywise, and made a clip. So I was like, hey bro, since like you use that, can I get your Deviants footage from that standing room show so I can have like 7 angles, like really like edit it together like proper, like do it right. And he's like, yeah, no problem. So he hit me up yesterday and was like, hey, like let's hook up today and get that footage. So I was out of it yesterday, so I didn't respond, but I think I'm finally gonna get that footage from him. So I'm actually gonna have like 6 or 7 angles to really like cut together that footage.
Nice.
And speaking
so
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I was done.
Said about your father, my grandfather recently, all that. I appreciate what you did for me that night, man. That was really nice of you. Sending that that video, the AZ video and all that was really, really cool, man. That was solid. And I appreciate that, man.
Well, I mean, that's mostly what I'm trying to do in the scene, man. Like I try to like to care and help and like every once in a while, just recently, like I posted something online and I got a message from like a band manager saying like, hey bro, like don't post shit that's like not approved by the band. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, I'm just trying to like, I'm going down memory lane. I'm like posting nostalgia, like this was a fun memory, and it was like, no, don't do that, dude. And that was always that was part of the problem with the Felony Film shit. I did the strung out show for my buddy Slaboratory, who did a bunch of shows in San Diego. I recorded all this shit. We had like 6 angles. We had like pretty much almost board audio from the soundboard. I cut it together. I sent Jordan from Strung Out like a preliminary clip. He's like, oh, it's all right. It sounds like shit though. Like, so like, let's not post it. And it's like, dude, I had like 6 camera people and like almost board audio. And he's just like, don't post it.
Wow.
Like,
we had, we opened for, speaking of band managers, they usually got in the way, especially when you get into, when you get the old timers who actually had managed bands, they had somebody who would travel with them, kind of keep everybody at bay, which was ridiculous because it's like, wow, we're at a punk show, but I can't fucking talk to the guys I'm opening for. We had an issue with Agent Orange and their band manager once when we opened for them. And we went on, we did what we did. We brought fire. I, took my clothes off and it was a great time. Then the manager comes up and says, fuck you guys. You're just trying to ride fucking Agent Orange's name. It's like, no, we don't give a fuck what you're doing. We just came out here to fucking play a show. We got invited. We sent our shit in. Y'all said, yeah, come play. And here we are. And if you don't like it, fuck off. The band managers always get in the way.
I lucked out with Agent Orange because I filmed them. I was on the Warped Tour for, I think, 4 or 5 dates on that year. And Agent Orange was on the old dude stage or whatever for like just the California dates. And so I was like, oh, dude, Agent Orange, like I was there working with a couple of my bands. I was like, I should film them, but also like Agent Orange, man, like, I got to go film this. So I went and filmed it, and it just like me, one angle kind of side stage. Like the audio is good, but it's not, it's not what I would want to post. So during the early pandemic, I went through and was like, I'm just gonna start posting like, yeah, I have 4 angles from the show, but I'm just going to post 1 angle just to be like, hey, back in the day, remember this? Back in the day, remember this? So I posted the Agent Orange shit from that Warped Tour, and Dusty, who I'd befriended a little bit, was like, oh, dude, this is great, and like shared it on his page, and it got like 1,000 reshares. Everyone's like, oh, dude, old school Agent Orange, how cool is that? And it's like mid 90s, not that old school, but everyone just like lost their mind. It's like the audio's subpar. It's a single angle from like the side stage, but it was just people loved it.
Well, I mean, that's, think about what, like from videos from, old bands, like I've got some old Dead Kennedy shit, and the video quality is fucking shit. The audio's okay, but it's just that one camera view from like so far away, and there's no other angles, but to me, that's like priceless because it's, somebody actually took the time to fucking set up and document kind of a historical value to me, so to me it means something, to other people it means something, but it's just like I appreciate that kind of thing. It may only be one camera view, but it's like, wow, someone took the time to document something.
That's me. I agree 100%.
When I first started like taking the Felony Film side of it seriously, because Felony Film started getting more activity at a point where the label, I couldn't sign Poor Habit. I had already lost the DV. It's like a bunch of like these bands where I was like, signing you guys will help me out more than I'm gonna help you out, and it didn't happen. And so I was like, well, dude, the film side's like, I'm able to film like Descendants and Pennywise and Pulley and these bands that obviously would never sign to the label, but I can film them, and I don't need contracts, and like I don't have to worry about them making money or me making money, because back then YouTube you didn't think about like monetizing videos, right? And so my only goal was for me to film, because I had like back then the mini DV tapes or the high 8 tapes, which every show cost me money to buy those fucking tapes. And then all I wanted was a second camera. So my buddy had one he let me borrow. I put it on a tripod in the back, so I had that, and then my camera up front, and I would just cut back to forth. And that's the only thing I wanted to do, because the single angle from the back of the venue that's like, this is cool, like I'm a fan, I'll watch it, but you get bored. I wanted the activity of like back and forth cuts. Right. And that's what started when I was like, this is what I need. Okay. Sorry, daughter problems. So that's really what started to happen. And then my friend Tolly was filming back then with like her phone. And then I was like, well, dude, if you get a better camera, I'm like, I have my camera, I have my secondary camera, and then your third camera, like we could really cut together some cool shit. Like this could be really like, this could be a thing. And she did. She went out like the next day and bought a new Canon camera that shot pro video. And
Nice.
there it all started. And then GoPros came out.
So your point was you wanted to show from a videography standpoint your experience. You wanted to show what you were seeing, what you were experiencing, and try to recreate that for someone to watch.
Just like for the watchability. Like I've seen those old like Black Flag videos and the old Descendants Circle Jerk stuff. It's cool, but it's just like one dude sitting in the corner of the whole show, and he's just like maybe every once in a while zooms in, but it's just like I'm a fan, I'll watch it, but like I'm probably not going to watch the whole 57 minutes. Right. Whereas like if they had like drum cam and like guitar cam, bass cam, singer cam, wide cam, I was like I might actually watch this whole thing. And so that was my goal. It took 5 or 6 years for us to get there. But initially, that was the goal.
Right on. Well, what do you think, Trevor? You got anything to add here, buddy?
No, dude. No, I'm just enjoying the conversation. It's awesome. Just talking to you, Ron. You're, yeah, man. I wish I lived your life, man. I'm stuck here in Canada. You're down there in Cali.
So, Ron, real quick. What do you have for future plans?
Nothing.
Come on, you gotta have
so fun. Okay. So the record label, 2017, when I had the business partner, he and I weren't seeing eye to eye. I kind of told him I need a break because I felt like I was being overworked. He felt like he was being underappreciated. And he basically decided to move on, start a new label, which good for him. I'm glad he's like supporting music and helping bands out. But I went through about a 2-year like super depression. And once I got out of that, there was a phase where I was like, oh, I should like start the label up. I had bands hitting me up like, hey, these other labels want us to sign them. Can you like turn the label back on just so we could say like, fuck you, we're Felony for life? And I was like, yeah, but like, no, because then I'm doing it to spite them, not because I care.
Right.
And so the label, you know, I finally got to a point where I was like, the only way I would do the label again is just for nostalgia stuff. Repress old demo tapes that never were on vinyl, and like bands that aren't active that are trying to live off music. Because I don't want to like try to like make a business out of splitting a penny. You know?
Right.
Bands need every fucking cent they get, and then I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring and be like, oh, by the way, I get half until you pay me back. I don't want to do that. Like, so the only thing the label would ever turn back on for is just nostalgic stuff. It's like, hey, this band that ended in '92, we're gonna press their first album on vinyl. Nice. The film stuff, I feel like most of what I have is so old now. None of the bands are objecting to it really. They're all like, oh, that's cool, that's old. Whereas when I was posting it, when it was concurrent, they're like, dude, that's embarrassing. Don't post it.
Yeah.
So like, I think I'm trying to post about a video a day, whether I do or not, but throughout the year, I'm trying to post a video a day of all my archive footage. And the label thing for now, it's just kind of done.
Are you okay with that?
Yes, because I don't feel like I can help. I also don't feel like I'm fresh on the scene. Like, there's these like shows that come up and big festivals and flyers, and I'm like, I know 5 of the bands, and they're bands from my childhood. Like, I don't know who this and that they are. Like,
I think that's like all of us, man.
I feel real out of touch like that too.
My buddy who runs Wiretap, like they're killing it. Like when he first started, he was like asking me like, what's up with the labels and whatnot. I was like, I don't know. Like I'm just fucking figuring it out as I go. Now, 7 years later, he's killing it. He's like putting out all these bands that people love. I don't know any of his bands. Like, I probably wouldn't have found them or signed them. And those are the bands people care about and want to hear. I'm like, I would have missed them.
I would have too. Straight up. I'm not.
But also, I think that's part of the problem with what the label was. The label was like, if I want to buy it, that's only what we put out. If I would buy it, I'll put it out. Yeah, these kids are popular and they're doing shit and they have a scene behind them, but like, I wouldn't have bought their shit, so I just wouldn't have put it out because it wasn't about like money. It was about like, I want to buy it. Like, I want this on vinyl.
Yeah. I mean, it was what you like to listen to, you know. And then we had this whole era period lately that I couldn't stand. Like, personally, I told Michael Don this too. We had like this era where like it was like almost like an alt flavor going, and I'm like, dude, this sucks. You know, like what happened to the beat? You know, like what happened to like we're gonna play fast and we're gonna be loud, you know, and you know, fucking harmony.
Well, like,
you know, I mean, I don't know, some shit you can sing along to. And then it got all weird and like alty, and I'm just like, dude, I can't do this, man. I almost checked out because I just couldn't do it. I didn't like it.
Like
Wasn't my
Epitaph,
thing.
they were founded on their scene, Bad Religion, like their surrounding people, and that scene, that music, that style became profitable, and like Epitaph blew up. Like they still hold the record for like the largest independent selling punk album of all time was Smash. And then it became a business. So Andy ended up being like, oh, like let's follow the money in the music, and they went, you know, like emo, screamo, Thursday, My Chemical Romance, AFI, and all that shit. And I understand, like it's a business at that point. Like they're that big that they have to do that.
Yeah.
But also, like Fat didn't. They stuck with punk, and like they obviously don't have the Epitaph numbers, but they stayed true to their roots.
I mean, they do put out. They still put out punk, but you know.
Yeah,
punk
but
rock,
it's like
they always did.
It's the old schoolers. It's a new Pennywise album. It's a new. They signed Propagandhi. They did a new, you know, Bouncing Souls, the gold record and stuff like that. It's the ones they know are going to move units. It's not like signing one of the Felony bands. Like not a single band that ever worked with Felony ever got signed to Fat or Epitaph.
Yeah, they're not trying to promote anybody new.
No.
Like I was surprised. I had the Chaser record about a year ago from Jesse, and I was like, "There's no way this doesn't get picked up by Fat or Epitaph." And I finally hit him up, going like, "What's up? Who picks it up? Who signed to you guys?" And they're like, "No one. We're sticking with Soundspeed and Spam and P Records and Thousand Islands." Which isn't bad.
That shocks me, honestly.
No, it's not bad.
But also, it was like,
it's a killer fucking album.
I told him like back then, I was like, dude, like this is gonna blow people's fucking minds. Like, it will be the punk album of the year, if not in the top 3.
Yep, I agree.
And like the response now that it's out is getting, I'm like, not that I had any part to do with it, but I was like, yeah, told you so. Like,
fucking told you so.
Fucking
some of
great
those songs
record.
on there hold up with. I mean, dude. In fairness, that Only Human song is fucking as good as anything Pennywise ever did, as far as I'm concerned. You know, because they're a similar band. They're a similar band. They have a similar sound. And
of course.
I love Pennywise too. You know, I love them. They're a good band. I mean, they're better than a good band. They're fucking great. But man, a couple of these songs on Dreamers, I was like, holy shit, you know. The dude was really, really, really in the zone when he was writing them songs, man.
The thing is about like the power pop, like that vein. That was never my like. There was bands that I liked, the stuff that just caught my ear right. But with Chaser, when I was listening to Dreamers, I was like, you know, I'm not the big power pop fan, but the lyric writing is just incredible. So I'm just like, oh, okay. That's what I focus. I like to hear good lyrics. I like to hear something. I like some backbone, you know.
Absolutely.
Well, I felt like with this album, it was the first album where like, yes, it's No Use for Name and Pennywise and whatnot, but this was the first Chaser album where it's like, this is you guys. It's not, that's a Pennywise song, that's a Bad Religion song, that's a No Effects song. This is the first album where I was like, this is you guys. Like, this is just Chaser.
It fucking amazing. Really, really good record. They're great guys. Like I said, we've had Mike on. I talked to Jesse, and Jesse said, you know, when he gets some time, he's going to come on, and I thought that was rad of him. You know what I mean? And I mean, you recognize that early in the game, man. I commend you for that, because I mean, no one else did. Straight up, no one else did.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, like Numb America is the only album that ever like made money on the label. Like the label didn't make money. I let the band keep all the money, but it's the only album that moved 10,000 CDs.
Wow.
It's a good record, dude. I've listened to it. Good record.
Oh, yeah.
Gone are the days of the $5 Fugazi concert. So never gonna get that
for
back.
Sure. Well, that's the only way bands can make money nowadays. They have to sell cotton and get paid from live shows, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Spotify and iTunes don't pay shit.
No.
It's everything going on now. I mean, it killed. I mean, it really killed the rest of what the music industry was. There's no infrastructure now. You know, I mean, it's almost like a lot of these middle tier to lower tier bands. They're almost gonna have to rework everything. You know what I mean? It really sucks. But I mean,
well, like Spotify and
the scene
iTunes
stays strong. You know what I mean?
Spotify and iTunes and streaming services, while they allow people to be introduced to music, they've become the labels that owned everything and controlled everything and then ripped the bands off. Worse than that was back in the day.
Right. These services aren't no good. I mean, we all use them though. But I use YouTube Music. I mean, it's free. But I'm
I
sure
love
they're
it
doing
all.
the same shit, dude.
I love it
You
all,
know?
but like, you know, iTunes I think pays the best, and I think you get like 0.07 cents a
Fuck
play.
all
No,
that.
less than that.
Fuck all that.
That's as a song sells. It's like 0.007 cents, something like that. So you get like
Jesus
a hundred seventh of a cent of a penny per play.
Right.
Fuck.
How do you live off that?
You don't.
You don't.
No, you don't. You
But
just
iTunes,
go. Fuck.
iTunes is banking, so you know.
Yeah, they are.
I don't get it. But that's another reason why I'm like, you asked earlier, like, am I cool with Felony being dead? There's no reason for me to be in it. Like, the band doing it themselves can't make money, and then I'm gonna throw my hat in going like I get half or whatever
Yeah.
percentage.
Yeah, half of nothing is nothing.
Yeah. I mean, parents used to look at it like that. Most people are trying to get that 0.5 cent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, that shit ain't right.
Well, that's what I like
Ron,
about today's music. Is
I
they
appreciate
can.
you coming on, man. We do, man.
Yeah.
I'm really happy for PRF, man. It was just Providence meeting you over there. You know, talking with you, and I got talking with that Blake dude, and ended up talking with you, and you know, it's been Providence, man. I enjoy speaking.
Well, you hit me up to the Zero Crew.
Coming on, man.
Hell yeah.
To the Zero Crew group.
Yep, absolutely. That's a great thing they did. You know, nobody else does that. You know, I don't see too many bands that have their own group where they're in there talking to people, and you know, I mean, that's something else. You know what I mean? And
Well, that's a flashback from their old messenger board days.
Chris Dolly told me something about it. Not he didn't know a whole lot because he wasn't around then, I guess, but he was saying that they had they call it Mesa Book or some shit like that or something, and it was like that they would messenger back and forth. So that's cool how they're doing it now, man, because they had that stream this year, you know, no live music. We all got to vote on the songs and shit, which was cool, you know. That's awesome, man. But,
I miss the old message board format where, because back when Bad Religion started up their message board, Bentley was on there often, Baker was on there often, Graffin would get on there promoted. That's why I have a signed copy of his doctoral thesis, because he got on there and was like, hey, if anybody's interested. He's like, fuck yeah, I'm interested. But, you don't see that anymore. You know, the bands, I mean, you get, you know, sporadically you'll get some of the, you know, let's say mid-level bands that'll still interact with their fans directly, but when you go up a tier or two, forget it, you know.
Well, I think you get it. You still get it, but nowadays it's not just fans; it's loose fans, and so you get the oh, you're an idiot, and the attacking moments of it. Like, you're wrong. That song sucks. This album's garbage. Whereas back then, I think it was just passionate fans. Like, I love you guys. You can do no wrong. Everyone here is a community because we're all positive.
Yeah.
Modern internet's like, no, I like them, but not as much as you, and you're wrong for thinking that they're the best.
Yeah. That's one thing I told myself when we were going to do this, you know, this PRF TV thing, that I was never going to be the kind of person that, like, we would have somebody that took time out of their day to come talk to us, and we would do, you know, like some controversial shit or like ask questions that didn't need to be asked. No. Personal shit. We're never doing that shit. You know, like, I just don't see how people. I was watching a similar thing to what we do, and it seemed like that was all the gentlemen wanted to do, and it's not even close to what we do. It's not punk rock based, nothing like that. But it's just, you know, an internet TV show, and I couldn't believe, you know, that somebody's getting their time to come on and talk to you, and you're gonna like ask them crazy shit or like controversial shit that, you know, is their business. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
No way I could do that. No way.
Well, that's the 24-hour news cycle stuff. You want the clickbait. You want the, like, gotcha stories, you know? And your guys' channel isn't about that.
No,
never gonna be.
Now, see, I like the meat of what is done on this format, because, like, we're getting to be, you know, we get to have a personal interaction, you know.
exactly.
Like, you have those weird fans that want to argue over what kind of fucking peanut butter fucking Jay Bentley eats. No one gives a fuck what kind of peanut butter. What drives him? I want to know what drives him to do what he does. What makes you to do that we like?
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
That's the whole thing. I just want to talk to people, get to meet people, and where you were at a lot of places that I wish I'd have been at. In fairness,
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Exactly. So I want to hear your experience. Maybe I can add something from up here in Ohio. What the hell? But
I mean, I just to round it out, I think that part of what the label was and the film side was that I finally realized that the things I take for granted that I'm able to be around and introduced to and get, AAA experience to isn't common. So like I should take advantage of my stature in the scene and document it and share it for everyone else.
Hell yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Thank you for sharing with us, dude. Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
That's not done enough, and what you're doing is actually spot on. So appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys for your time.
Well, I
you having
appreciate
me
your
on.
time, brother. I hope to speak again
absolutely.
soon, man. And thank you for coming on. We appreciate you.
You got it, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good,
I gotta go
man.
do some Florida man stuff and fucking alligator or something. I don't know.
Hey, Johnny, thank you, brother, for filling in
Thank
tonight,
you.
man. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
All
No
right.
problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much,
guys.
Johnny. Cheers.
Y'all
Go feel
good,
some
man.
people's mail.
right.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Take
Bye,
care.
guys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.